Hello, and welcome back to The Culture Shift with Jeroslyn Jovan. Our podcast aimed at inspiring the leaders of tomorrow, brought to you by Black Enterprise. Here we like to review the success stories of today's tastemakers to encourage those who dare to dream big. Today, we're talking all things women's basketball and beyond with retired WNBA player, overseas pro basketball player, and current assistant coach and director of player development at the University of Texas, Coach Sydney Carter. She sits down with the Culture Shift to discuss the massive growth of the WNBA, what's needed for continued expansion, her current role as a woman leader in sports, and how her passion for fashion helped bring more eyes to her dominance on and off the court. Join me in welcoming the 2012 NCAA champion and four-time European champion, Coach Sydney Carter. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm happy to speak with you. I was just covering one of your more recent interviews a couple of weeks ago. So when I got the email to interview you, I was like, oh yes, come on.
Yeah.
Queen to queen. Queen to queen. Because you are just, I love how just bold you are in your approach to being a leader, a woman leader in sports. And we'll get into all of that. Yes, we will get on all to that. So just first, tell us about your current role for the University of Texas Longhorns and how your basketball career shaped where you are today.
So if I talked about my role, like it would take me all day. Like I do so many things. I'm doing stuff on the floor with the kids. I'm doing a lot of the stuff off the court with them. So I help them find housing. I set up their community service. I do our camps when we have summer camps. And then obviously like I'm very active with them on the floor with their workouts and all that stuff. So I am like coach and then everything else that they need help with off the floor. And what was your next question? I don't remember.
Well, pretty much like how full circle how full circle is this role for you? Like how did everything you've come from shape where you are today?
Speaking of full circle, like Texas was actually my dream school. I didn't end up going to Texas in college, but it was my dream school. So for me to be back here after I've played at a completely different school in Texas, a rival school in Texas, and then, had a pro career, it's always been a passion of mine to help young women. And so I feel like I've always been a leader. Like I've always been a talker. When I played. And so naturally, I kind of just flowed into a role that I'm in that will allow me to showcase my leadership skills for young women on and off of the court. Like it's really important for me, for young people to be successful outside of the sport because they're so much more than athletes. So my role lets me do just that.
I love it. Yeah, I didn't know all of what your role entails. So you just touching on that, it really shows how you are leading off the court just as much as you are on the court.
Yeah.
And then just when it comes to women's leadership in sports, how do you feel about the current state of it? And are there any changes that you would like to see?
You're seeing, women's basketball in general is obviously on the rise, but I think what I would like to see, and this is an ode to the two ladies that I work with the closest, my publicist and my manager, like I want to see more stories being told about the women behind the woman, or whoever it is. And so you see so many different women that are obviously and not obviously helping to elevate women's sports in general. And so I would love to see more stories being told about those women as well, because they have the same type of impacts that a lot of people don't know because they're, the people that are behind the scenes. But, everybody sees me, everybody sees, these other influential women, but they don't understand the influence behind everything that I'm able to do and all these other women are able to do.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So now you mentioned, college, now it's full circle for you, coaching at the school you wanted to go to, but you were on Texas A&M. You were at Texas A&M in college.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the NCAA tournament this year, the women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is like a basketball fanatic, he was locked in, and it was just so it was so amazing to see, because this was the first year where it's like, he was really locked in, and it just really shows, like you said, just all the increase in eyes and viewership that is around women's basketball right now. So I love to see it. But take us back to your win. This was what, in 2012?
11 when I won the national.
11. You
Woo.
were your junior year. Your junior year. So what did it feel like? And how did it like change the bond you had with your team at the time, and even your reputation on campus? Yeah.
Yeah, so even to this day, it's what, 13 years later, it's still something that I cannot describe. Um, it's such a hard thing to do, and so that season, there's not one thing that I can't remember about that season. Now, I played 4 years in college, obviously, and I can't tell you some of the things that happened my freshman year in 2008, but in 2011, there are so many things that I can remember about games, about times when I was in classes, people that I interacted with. And so that season was just very special, for so many different reasons. One of the toughest seasons that I was ever a part of in anything, even pro basketball. Like, nothing was harder than that year. So it was one of the best memories that I have in college. But after that, you became even more so a celebrity on campus.
Yes.
Like, I was going to class and people were like asking for the autograph. You had what people are doing now for women's basketball and going to games and everything. That's what campus looked like at the time. So they had people in bars celebrating the women's basketball team, tuning into the games. Like, it was this in our own little community, so it was big. And I can remember coming back the day after we won, and the entire gym was full of people just waiting to welcome us back and like hear us
Wow.
speak. So it was special. It was a
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's definitely a lifetime memory. Like, so how do you feel about the media coverage and the fanfare that the women's NCAA tournament receives today?
it's fantastic. Like, you're giving women the platform now. Like, you're seeing so many things about the women's game that we already knew, and it's not just with women's basketball. Like, now other sports are starting to get publicity as well. So it's like everybody's like a girl's girl now, because all the women's sports are getting the publicity because there's so many people that are coming in to women in general and investing in women in general. So it's great to see that we're starting to get the platform to be able to showcase, like, this has always been here. Now y'all are getting to see it, and y'all are getting to see what we've always felt, and it's good. So we want to keep it going. Like, I think that's the task now, is how can we continue to elevate, um, everybody's game in women's sports in general. How can we keep the needle moving?
Right. So now you return to Texas A&M in the 2021-2022 season as the assistant coach. What was that experience like? And that was that like your start in women's leadership in sports?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really seamless because I got to go back and work for the coach that I played for. So he really believed in me as a player. And then to believe in me as a coach is something I will never take for granted, because it seems like it's like an easy path. Like, okay, I play basketball, so I'm going to go coach. That was never my thought process. I never wanted easy. And so for me, when I first got there, it was a huge learning curve, because I'm going from a player, and then it's like, this is not a 9 to 5. This is 24 hours a day. And so it was an adjustment, but it was easy because I was a sponge. Like, I literally sat in everyone's office to pick their brain, see how they picked the game apart, watched film, did all these things. And so it was easy to try to navigate, but it was hard because I made it hard on myself because I wanted to have my hand in everything. But yeah, that was my start. And every year I've tried to figure out, how can I get better? And so every year I'm to the T. Like, if there's something the head coach says that I want to hold on to, I write that down at the end of every day. I write down the things that I want to keep, and I write down the things that I don't want to keep whenever I have my own program. So I'm constantly learning every day.
Oh, girl, true leader. And I'm really excited to just see where you're going because the passion is there, the focus is there, the drive is there.
Thank you.
Um, and yeah, the girl power is there. So it's just going to happen. So now it seems like with the WNBA, it's just growing so rapidly right now. It's really beautiful to see. It really, really is. So thinking back from the time when you played in the league to where it is now, like how do you feel about the current state and the media coverage that it's receiving now?
I feel really good about it simply because now they're talking about adding teams. Like Golden State just released their team name today. Then you have, news coming out that Toronto may be getting a team and, two other cities. So you could be possibly adding four more teams. And I think with the WNBA, a lot of people are like, well, there's only 12 spots to a team. So you see a lot of talent not make a team, on opening roster, which is today. But I think you're gonna see. It's just I'm happy to see expansion. I'm
Mhm.
happy to see salaries going up. Hopefully, they can continue to do that because people will
Right.
continue to support the game.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is you need people to continue to support the WNBA. If it's truly the best league in the world for women's sports, which it is, we have to keep people supporting the WNBA so we can keep the expansion going.
Right, right. You touched on what my next question was because yeah, there was talk about the salary offerings when everybody was watching the draft, which that was even amazing. Like the coverage around the draft, and I was just like,
Mhm.
yes, come on, the girls are back in town. And but the pay disparity, it was a big, big conversation because you're looking at what these women, these fresh out of college who that these are some of the young women that have people paying more attention now to the league, and then seeing what they're offered compared to an NBA player who might not even hit the court
Yeah.
their first year. It was just like, whoa, I think it put it more into perspective for everyone. But what are some actionable metrics you think could be used for bridging that gap?
Well, I think it's kind of what I said. Like, how can we continue to get people to support? And so, the WNBA has the league pass that people can buy to watch games whenever they're not streamed on TV. When it does come to streaming on TV, are you tuning in? Are you going to the games and buying physical tickets and putting a cheek in a seat? Like, all of those things tie into continuing to elevate the women's game and the WNBA, because when you look at an NBA gym, it's full. When you're at home, you're like, okay, I got a front row seat, but I'm watching at home. So now streaming is going up, and so when you have all those people connected and in tune with the game, it's only natural that people start to invest more because the inspiration is there, the drive is there to want to support things that are booming. You don't want to invest in something that's not nobody cares about, nobody they don't think it's popping. Well, now it's popping. So how can we continue to get people to invest so that we can continue to have, instead of having a league pass, maybe we get to all of our games on TV now, or most of the games on TV, and every now and then there's an NBA game on the NBA site, but like how can we get more games on the TV and on these major networks, and then maybe a couple are just on the league pass? I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
don't I don't have the answers, but I think
yeah,
we just have to continue to get people to understand our game is popping right now, and we need you to invest.
most definitely. So among the newcomers to the WNBA, one of them got drafted to the Chicago Sky, just like
Mm-hmm.
you did,
Yeah.
just like you did back in 2012. So among the newcomers, is there anyone that you're looking out for?
Um, I want to say Daisha Fair. She's in Las Vegas. She went to Syracuse, but I think she was probably one of the Angel was a steal. But I think this kid was truly a steal because she was picked in the second round, but she is at the top of the scoring list in the NCAA. And she's short. She's short like me. Um, she's like 5'5" ish, 5'6". So she's tiny, but she's a bucket. And so I think I'm excited to see what she does because she joined the best team in the league for the last 2 years. They're back to back champions, and she went to that team and made that team. So that says a lot because they didn't really have a lot of spots for newcomers because they have such a locked team. But for her to make that team says a lot. So, but I'm truthfully, I picked her, but truthfully, all the rookies, like all of
Yeah.
them are so exciting. Like the Rukia Jackson in LA, an amazing basketball player. Cameron Brink in LA, amazing. Like every rookie that made a team is going to have an impact, I think.
I'm here for it too. And you just made me even more excited and like got me like, okay, that's who I need to pay more attention to.
She's so good. Like she
Yes.
is a hooper.
You also played overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Latvia, Israel, Europe. You were a four-time champion, 3 wins in Latvia, one in the Eastern European League. Whoop, whoop. What would you say are there any big differences with playing for the WNBA compared to playing overseas?
Oh, huge difference because in the WNBA, if you are not, at least during my time, if you were not like the it girl, which I wasn't, I was drafted in the third round. A lot of people didn't even think that I should have been there, but baby, I knew I was supposed to be there. But um, a lot of people don't realize that when you get there, you have a role. And you play that role in the WNBA. If you are not supposed to be shooting it, they don't want you to shoot it. Like I said, this is during my time, and so the biggest difference for me was when I went overseas. It was like, you know how on Love and Basketball, she's like, he said to get you the ball. That is what it's like. I had a teammate in Latvia translate. He said, get Sydney the ball, and so you get to be yourself overseas. You get to play your brand of basketball and not be looking like, okay, do they want me to do that? Yes, they want you to do that because overseas it is about you. It is an American's game over there because that's why they're bringing you over there and that's why they're paying you is to you got to put up 20, 30 or whatever. So you get to play your game overseas, and in the WNBA it just depends. Like I'm not sure what it's like now because I don't play anymore, but back then it just seemed like I had to stay within a certain realm and I needed to get the ball to who I needed to get to, and I was fine with that. But a lot of these kids are stars, and so if it is that way, you just don't know if that's going to be what they're okay with.
Right, right. Now, when it comes to what you're doing as an assistant coach, you are really just kind of breaking the mold as it relates to just your fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're the first woman I've seen bring high fashion to the basketball court, and you're doing it so wonderfully.
Thank you.
When I see you post on your social media, I don't see you tag any stylists.
I know.
So I'm like, and I feel like, okay, she's putting these outfits, she's putting these looks together herself now.
Yes.
Where does your flair for fashion come from? Like, and just how do you even feel about all the attention it receives?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people are like, why she don't tag her stylist? I don't have one. I am my own. But I don't know. I mean, my passion for standing out, it's not. I don't even think it's a passion for. It is a passion for fashion because I love fashion, but I think it comes from the fact that like my mama always told me you are not made to fit in. And so I think from a young age, like like I was wearing my mom's shoes in the third grade, trying to figure out how I can make my school uniform different, you know. And so I feels like it started way back then, and I did not know that because you don't know that as a third grader and when you're coming up. But there was always, if I had to wear a school uniform, which I did a lot of the time when I was growing up, I kept trying to figure out how I could make mine different, how I could have a flair. And so I think it's just something natural that comes to me, and I like to look nice. And so at the end of the day, I always say what God has for me is this is what He had, and so I'm just doing what He tell me to do at the end of the day.
Listen, it's offering inspiration in a different way, right? Because
Yeah.
we know people that are public figures and they have a flair for fashion. That's nothing new, but we have not seen that really in professional basketball from a
Hmm.
woman. And so that's where it's like I can just imagine, I feel inspired looking at your outfits, right? Because it's like that reminder, like, why dress down, right? Like, if you're gonna step out into the world for this moment, do it in something that you really feel good in.
Yes.
um so anybody that's watching you, I'm sure that's what they're getting. But were you ever nervous about how the public was going to react to you showcasing your style as a basketball coach?
I'm going to be very honest with you. No, I never thought about somebody's going to pick me apart. Somebody's not going to like this. Because I don't do what I do for anybody else other than for the pleasure of myself. If I'm putting something on the night before a game and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm wearing, or the day of a game and say, this is what I'm wearing, I'm going to smile in the mirror and be like, you a bad one. I'm fine with that. And that I could care less about the criticism that comes with that, because truthfully people are like, I thought she was the head coach. Okay, well, first of all, I never said I was the head coach, but I'm gonna dress like I am if that's what you think. You said it, I didn't. So I'm gonna dress like I want to be presented, and I want to present myself as always putting my best foot forward and dress to win. And so that's how I dress.
Pretty much, period. That's it. And why do you think so much attention is put into what you wear?
I think when it started with the whole pink pants fiasco, it was kind of like, how dare a man think he can make a comment about what a woman is wearing and whether it's appropriate or not. I think that took a lot of people back, because it's like, this is real, misogynistic and sexist, because how many people are saying, how dare that man wear a suit to a game? Or,
Right.
how dare that man wear sweats to a game? Because that's what a lot of people are wearing. But you don't hear that conversation. But for some reason, it's people are always saying, okay, well, she got on this and that's not appropriate. People were saying I should get fined and all these other things. And I'm like, y'all have never said that. I'm not the first person to wear pink pants, and I'm sure not the first person to wear leather. So, back then I think it was a negative aspect to it, because that's what was put out there, was how dare she, why does she think this is appropriate? Now I just think a lot of people are inspired by I think people see the confidence that I wear, and then they see the clothes, because I just show up as me, and I'm not apologizing for it ever.
Okay. And what's your advice to the women athletes and even little girls who are watching you and getting inspired?
I think basically what I just said, wear your confidence. Don't, like, let that be what you wear, and you wear the clothes. Don't let the clothes wear you. If it's somebody that's into fashion. But I think in anything that you do, you have to remain confident, because if you don't have confidence, then you don't have much of anything. So if whatever it is that you're doing, you have to be very secure in yourself and secure in the God-given ability that you have, because if you were not supposed to be doing this, you would not be doing it. God would not put you in this position. And so just know that you are equipped with everything that you need to be successful.
Most definitely. Um, do you think, is there a song that is like your life song? It describes your life, your career, just you in every essence.
Ooh. You know what song I really love? I love the Tiana Taylor "Made It" song. I used it. I used it twice, and I loved her video, because I'm one of them people still watch music videos. But I loved I loved her video, because she showed like people graduating from school, and like, just all these accomplishments were shown in the video. Um, but I think that song, if I have to get something right off the top of my head, that song right
I
there,
love
it
that.
really resonates with me.
I love that. Yes, because Tiana Taylor got a lot of gems, a lot of gems. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a really good one. But thank you so much, Coach Sydney. Is what's next? What should we know? What should we watch out for? Keep us in
Um,
the loop.
a lot of things are coming. What I think. So I mean, I'm one of those people where I can have it all. Like I'm just not a coach. an entrepreneur now, so I have like my own businesses on the side and everything, and so I want to put things out there. But I think you're gonna see me somewhere soon in July, on red carpet somewhere, maybe, I don't know. But we'll see. So I'm gonna try to put more content out there to try to give people a more inside look of what I do beyond the court. But I have a lot of things that are in play. So this is not it for me. I'm not one dimensional.
Yeah. Listen, we're excited. You deserve. Keep shining that God-given light. And we are tuned in.
Thank you.
The red carpet, it's all yours. I see head coach in the future.